So first, let's get in a little posting. And I've been looking forward to doing this. Feet shoulder width apart. Let your hands float. As you exhale, allow the hands to float down like you're cleansing yourself. Let's do that 3 times, like just rainfall. And one more time. Then you let yourself settle down. Breathe in and rock back toward your heels. Exhale to the balls of your feet. Let's do that 7 times. And find your middle place where your balance is distributed evenly. And we're going to do a few exercises, allowing ourselves to kind of open up and loosen up at the same time, but also put our mind into our work. We're only going to move when we exhale. So when we're inhaling, stay nice and still, okay? So I'd like for you to breathe in. As you exhale, you're going to push one hand up, one hand down, and turn in the direction that the hand up is in. So you twist a little bit. Something just popped a little bit. And taking a breath. As you exhale, let the hands float back down to neutral in front of your chest, palms toward the sky. Breathe in. Exhale, rotate the other way. Push your left hand up, the left hand. There you go. Taking a breath. As you exhale, come back to neutral. Good. Bring the fingertips together just in front of your heart. And let's take 5 breaths from here. As you exhale this time, bring your feet together. Taking a breath. As you exhale, let the hands float up. Prayer palm. We're going to do little boy praise. Breathe in. As you exhale, fold the hands to behind your head. Good. Breathe in. As you exhale slowly this time, drop your nose and roll your back. And taking a breath. As you exhale, unfold the hands toward the earth. Breathe in. Hands to the knees and bend your knees. Lift your head a little bit. Breathe in. Exhale, spread out the feet nice and wide. Good. Sit there for 1 half breath. You just inhale. As you exhale, turn. Look behind you just as far as you can. Sway your hips, turn your head. All right, breathe in. Exhale, come back to neutral. Breathe in. Exhale, sway your hips, turn your head. Exhale, turn to neutral. Roll your back up. Whew. All right. Shake that out a little bit. In fact, just go ahead and shake. Let's just shake for about 30 seconds. That incense is still smelling good, isn't it? Yeah, that's nice. Okay. All right. So we're going to come back and do a little more posting here in a little bit. But for right now, what I want to do is, framework, putting it together, and then floating. I can hear his voice just so clear. And then let it float a little bit. Keeping framework and then letting it float is one, knowing. The most important thing is that you're trying to learn to slow down, whether it's through the Qigong, Tai Chi in the beginning. You're not going slow. to torture yourself, though it may feel that way. You're going slower to increase the aperture of the mind. When the mind is running fast, it just doesn't pick up the details it needs. Okay, it's too busy going to the next spot than paying attention to what it's actually doing. So you're slowing down to train your mind to open its aperture. Now, eventually, you can actually improve your state of mind to where you can move at what seems like a normal pace, and the aperture is nice and wide because it's a state of mind, unlike a mechanical aperture that is forced to stay open. But in the beginning, you have to take a mechanical approach to train it, right? So in that, when you're trying to slow down, you need to have an idea about, okay, what am I trying to do? So when to have frame and when to float. All right, let's take a couple of techniques. The one we'll pick, a couple I saw Kathy working on earlier is cloud hands. Okay. So to just have a frame, in fact, let's do it like this. Instead of cloud hands, let's just do a single hand, right? This is how in many places, the first thing you learn in movement is the single hand reeling silk exercise. And the easiest way to start it is to start in the yang outward position. So in this case, I'm flexing this leg and this hand is out. So this is where my weight is. This is where my intention is. And my hand and my foot are lined up together in the same direction. Now, as I sit back, my weight goes to the middle, then it comes to the rear, okay? Now that it's to the rear, my hand is also to the rear. From right here, the hand is going to float up to the middle as my weight shifts toward the middle. And then I shift my weight out, and the hand goes out again. That's a lot of detail for just one movement, isn't it? Right? With just one hand, So this hand, as I sit back, I'm looking for the timing of this leg being loaded, my weight being back, and this hand finishing together. Then the hand floats to the middle, and then it goes out. And when it gets here, I'm looking for this knee, my body, and my hand to finish together. Back, middle, and out. There's hardly any movement during the float. Now, if you notice, when I'm coming back, the hand doesn't really move a lot, does it? I'm coming back, and then in that last little piece, it floats just a little. Then it rises, and then the waist turns, and then it floats just a little. The frame starts to bring it back, then the hand floats, and it goes back out again. The first thing to look for is the timing. Did it finish together? Did it float on its own? And then did it go out together? Out together, hand, body, and your knee. Let's do one more. Because as this hand goes out, I should feel it being pulled and unfolded by the legs and the waist. Okay? Now let's take a little break. For me, not for you. I mean, all right, so any questions so far before we do the other side? No? Okay. I think the hardest thing to practice in Tai Chi is just learning to slow down. That's one. Just being patient enough to slow down. And then two, remembering your checklist about what it is I'm supposed to be doing as I slow down. All right, so here I am on this side. This is the tender side for me. All right, so everything's out. I pull back, the hand floats, and it goes out again. One. You got all the time in the world. No need to rush. The hand floats a little bit and goes out. Let's do two more. And one more. Everything together. Float. Then out. And then pull it back in. Okay. How'd that feel, Kathy? Better? Closer? You know what you're looking for? Okay. All right. So, and realistically, like before you start practicing Tai Chi, doing a few minutes of posting, just a single hand reeling silk is a good formula, right? A good formula to help you get your mind in the right place. And because it helps you slow down and it helps you pay attention to the details that you're going to need. The more complex the techniques get, the harder it is to keep the timing and the aperture open because you're just trying so much to do it right, you forget how to do the process. And if you did the process, it would be right anyway. Right? So that's where it gets a little tough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to cloud hands. So if I start, the frame is what shifts and takes the body over. Then the hands float. Then the waist and body take the hands over. The hands haven't really moved. When my weight gets to the end, they float just like they did before. And then shift the weight. Float. And this is, basically a beginner's way of learning how to do cloud hands without stepping. Body shifts and turns. Then the hands float. All right, so I want you to keep moving a little bit, but pay attention to the frame, okay, and how it's moving for you. How it doesn't require strength through the arms. The elbows and the hands are following the commands of the shoulder, not working out on their own agenda. Let's do one more. All the way over. As you bring it together this time, take a natural horse stance for you. Resting Wu Chi position. Bend your knees a notch if you can. Allow your hands to float up now to the level of your heart. Hold the moon. Breathe naturally and quietly in and out through your nose if that's comfortable for you and possible. I'd like for you to begin to shift your weight. This time your hands are going to go in the other direction, not cloud hands. Dragon stirs the sea. Shifting your weight over. Let the hands float. Bring them over. Let the hands float. Take your time. Shift it over as a frame, then float. Now, this time I want to let you float and let the hand float all the way to your ear. Your weight's on your left side for the most part. Step toward your right a little bit and brush knee. Sit back. The white snake stretches out. The hands float. It's back to the ear. Shift the weight. Turn the waist. And out. The white snake stretches out as I sit back. The hands float. And out. The frame moves the hands and arms. This time when they float, you're going to sit back. You're going to turn that toe in. Sit back on it now. And you're going to step out toward your left somewhere. It doesn't have to be straight out, anywhere you want. Just toward the left. And then shift your weight. Turn your waist. And let the frame move the arms. Now sit back. The white snake stretches out. The hands float. Shift. There you go. Very good, Kathy. Does that feel different? Sitting back, the white snake stretches out. The hands float. Shift the weight, turn the waist. One more time. Sit back. And good. Now, I'd like for you to bring the hands together by your side. Stand up. Close your eyes. Let the middle finger of each hand lightly touch the outside of your thigh. Give me 5 breaths. Good. So, in closing, when you're trying to reset yourself and make sure that you have at least the concepts of framework and timing, you have to establish it in a kind of a mechanical way like we did this evening, right? When you start to do your form and you're wanting to do your form, you have to slightly let go of those mechanics so that you can flow. You can't be mechanical and flow. Now, but before, Kathy and I and Bader and I were talking earlier, if you would have seen me when I first began, my timing was very stiff. I was a very stiff practitioner, if you could imagine that I was, and I was very, very stiff. For some of you, you're very, very loose, okay? And so as you're working on it, the first thing you have to do, and I have to do, is establish one set of timing, because you can't break timing and change timing if you have no timing, right? So first you have to establish it in order to let it go. I hope that makes sense, but that's the yin and the yang working. You've got to be able to establish a set of timing, and then you can start to let it go. So for example, if I'm doing brush knees and I'm walking in the form, let's say in the first movement in the Yang 24, and I'm in a left brush knee, I sit back. Now there's not a white snake stretches out right there. However, I turn. As I shift my weight forward, you can see the white snake stretching out now. And then when my hand comes to my ear, of course, people on the camera can't see it right now, but when my hand comes to my ear, my other hand has hit my abdomen, my belly button, and my foot is right in the middle. Now I'm in the middle of brush knee. I step out. Now I'm in the yang. And everything comes out just like we practiced. Now I'm going to do one more so the camera folks can see me. All right. So I sit back. My hands haven't moved. My arms haven't moved. That's the frame. My leg turns out. My arms still haven't moved. They're moved with my body. Now, the white snake stretches out, and then everything comes to the middle. There I am, hands by the ear, the other hands by the abdomen, and my foot has come to the middle, ankle to ankle, okay? I step out, shift 1 inch, turn the waist, and notice that again, now you can see the frame. My hands haven't moved, and they won't move till the very end, and they float a little bit, okay? And that is that timing that you're looking for by just practicing the reeling silk. 1, just like so. And trying to get that timing down. It takes a little while, but you need to know, as long as you know what you're supposed to do and how to take your time doing it, you can get it. All right. So anyway, very good to see you all.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.